enough growth. Let's talk about monetization. I just sent this training to my audience and it got really positive feedback about how to actually monetize Twitter, because there's a lot of talk on how to grow, but I want to talk about how to monetize, because making money is cooler than getting followers. Likes are cool, but likes and cash. Anyway, we talk about how to position yourself so you're not like everybody else, creating an offer, getting leads for that offer, creating content that attracts leads that will actually buy that offer, that are qualified and will pay you, and just all things Twitter. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy.
I'll do my best to show you everything I know about Twitter and what I teach people in my coaching program, in my paid community, and my free stuff. It's kind of the same model, but it's one model that really changed the way I look at Twitter. When I got to 70,000 followers, I met this guy, his name's Tony, and Tony was making the same amount of followers I was making when he had 900 followers and I had 70,000. Right there, I was like, there's something wrong about this approach and the way people teach Twitter. So I thought, no, I'm gonna do it right. Because if there's people with smaller followings making more money than me, imagine if you had a big following and you use the examples and techniques smaller accounts use. You make so much more money. People tell you that if you just grow, eventually the money will come. Like just grow and launch an offer when you already have an audience and you'll be fine. To me, it turned out to be bullshit. I was launching the offer, nobody was booking calls. People were just saying like, hey man, this stuff is so valuable, and nobody bought. I had a bunch of freeloaders and a lot of like low quality followers that were never going to buy from me, just taking up space in my email list and space in my Telegram channels, and I didn't like it. And I kind of grew a little bit disappointed on how people tell you should monetize Twitter, and a lot of them are not even making much money. That's when I said, okay, let me try to change stuff up. We started Tweet Hunter, that made around $1.5 million a year. Tweets and Clients, that's also 7-figure business. Evolving, I realized like there's a few things that nobody's talking about when it comes to Twitter monetization. And I don't want you to reach a phase in which you get to like a really high follower count and then you're secretly embarrassed because you're not making money. So I'm going to show you how to monetize from the beginning, and I will also show you how to not break goodwill, because a lot of people say the more you wait, the bigger they ask, and that is absolutely true. But there are ways in which you can monetize without breaking goodwill. Let's get this started. You're here because you want to monetize your Twitter. So let's look at why you haven't. People tell you should do Twitter like this. First, get traffic, right? Build a big account. And then once you have the big account, a lot of people are going to come your way, so you're going to be fine. You can just launch them an offer, right? Because you already have a big following. And you know what? You don't really need to think about market because you can pivot them. This is how people tell you should do it, or how I was taught I should do it. There's a few issues with that, because what if the traffic you got isn't optimized for the offer? Or what if the market you have is broke? Like number one business rule is we don't sell to broke people unless you're banks. Then that is a very profitable business. But in our case, not really. So what happens is you have the big account, but you never think about what you're going to sell them or who are you even selling to. So you end up with this thing that looks huge, like this kind of dog that barks a lot, but has no damage potential. It just looks big. It's all gas, like old sizzle, no steak. This is what I call the growth guide, right? Because it's just grow, it'll be fine, right? Now, I propose doing it the opposite way. I propose going market first, which is what I'm going to talk about. Second, we cover offers. Now that you already know which market you're targeting, now we're going to cover, okay, what do you sell to them? And only after we have something validated that we know, like, yeah, people want this is, people consider this valuable, do we think about traffic. How do you send traffic to an offer that you know will work? It's cooler if you know it's going to work before you spend a lot of months and years of your life in traffic, which is exactly what I did wrong. To me, this looks like a strong foundation. Because market goes first, right? If you pick the right market, then everything comes easily. I used to think that getting eyeballs was the best skill. Then I thought creating offers was the best skill. Now I believe market picking is the best skill. My first favorite topic is business. It's always been that. But my second favorite topic has always been dating and relationships. If you look at me, like I look Korean because I'm half Korean. And you know how on Tinder you can change your location to go to any other place in the world? So I changed it to South Korea just to see how how I would do. So I am the offer, right? Because I'm the guy that people are gonna buy. Traffic is just me putting in front of them, but market is I chose South Korea. And then nothing happened, right? Because I just looked like everybody else there. Maybe my bio wasn't right? But whatever. But then I researched, maybe if I boost it, right? And I get more traffic and nothing, let me change the offer. Maybe that's it. Let me change like a few pictures of me and some that look better. Didn't change anything. But then I saw and I thought, okay, so where are South Korean dudes looking popular? And turns out it's Poland, Eastern Europe. Then I changed my location. And I'm not kidding, like in 5 minutes, just qualified leads started rolling into the pipeline, if you know what I mean. And it was great. It was honestly great. Nothing changed about the offer, nothing changed about the traffic, but everything changed about the market. And that's when I really understood, like, maybe it's not offer creation that's the best. Maybe it's not traffic generation that's the best. Maybe it's market picking that's the best. Because really, if you're Asian, you just have to show up in Eastern Europe and have a pulse. That's all you need to do. But that's beyond the scope of this masterclass. So this is the likes and cash method. This is the growth guide method, or the likes are cash method. And to me, it looks like this. This doesn't have a strong foundation. It'll fall. What happens when you find out there's a bunch of people from unqualified countries or just niches that are not going to buy from you? You know, this one saves yourself pain. This one sets you up for a wrong lesson. It's like going into a toxic relationship. Like, it feels good. It's kind of fun, but in reality, you know, you shouldn't be there, right? But you keep putting it away and you keep writing engagement and getting tweets and writing threads that nobody cares about because you want to put it away. And you would think like, oh, because one day I'll get traffic and then launch an offer, but you've done that over and over again and it's not making you money. So you don't have to go down that path. You need to change the path in this case. This is how I teach Twitter. And that's what we'll do today. We're going to go step by step. We're going to go market first, offer second, and traffic third. Because this is how I think that is the optimal way. First off, let's start with market. So the way I like to think about market picking is, one, which skill do you possess? I'm not asking for who can your skill benefit. I'm not asking that. I'm just asking, what skills do you possess? Are you good at writing? Are you good at ghostwriting? Are you good at getting people fit? Are you good at getting people girlfriends? Like, what is it? Second thing I ask, be wary of how I ask this question. From the people on Twitter that can benefit from your skill, who can pay you the most? And this question is phrased that way specifically because it covers a few filters. So one is from the people you've seen on Twitter, meaning it's easy to target. You want a market that's easy to target. Two, who could benefit the most, meaning there's a pain, right? And who can pay you the most money. Again, we don't sell to broke people, right? Number one rule. I like to ask this question, who on Twitter have you seen that could benefit the most from this and can pay you the most money, right? And you think about it long and hard. For example, there's this guy named Tyler. Tyler is awesome at exploiting credit card points. Like, he travels for free and does all these cool things with his credit card things. And he was showing other people how to travel for free. And in my brain, I thought maybe that market is usually not that wealthy. But then I asked him, like, would your credit card stuff help people spend a lot on their credit cards, like ultra wealthy people? So we switched from people who wanted to travel for free to Tyler is the guy that makes rich people richer through his credit card point methods, right? So he goes to people and he says, I only work with people in which I can make them more money than they pay me. And they don't have to change anything from how they operate. I'll just show them a few tweaks. And they end up making huge money and they can pay him. So that's the value of this question. Third one that I like to ask is that person, once you find that, now you need to find your dream 100. Now, what is your dream 100? We're gonna come up with a name here. For me, it's 2021 JK, right? Like 2021 JK would benefit a lot from what 2022 JK teaches him. For you, come up with a name. And then what you do is you look up on Twitter lists or Twitter engagement or Twitter recommended follows, 100 people who this person might be following. Your dream 100 isn't 100 people who could be your customers. It's 100 people who your dream customer might be following. And the reason we're gonna do that is because we're gonna then talk about how to tackle these people and how to get them to see us. But for now, just create the list. Like that's important. We're just choosing the market here. So I create a list. It's a private list. I have 100 people in it. The last thing I think about is how can I position myself inside that niche? And there's a fifth one. Positioning does require like a whole thing on its own. We're going to talk about positioning now. How do you position yourself? So let's say here's your dream customer and here's their dream outcome. People think that the first thing they need to do is show the person a vehicle to their dream outcome. That is part of the equation, but another part of the equation is which road are you taking them through? Let's say this is somebody who wants to get a six-pack, right? They just want to be fit. There is this way, there is this way, there is that way, right? Let's say there are fitness coaches. Some fitness coaches take you there through cardio. Some do it through intermittent fasting, and some do it through the vegan diet. What we need to know here is that people don't just think about which vehicle I'm gonna get to my dream destination with. They also think about which road am I gonna go through. I do hire a fitness coach, like I have one. His positioning is, I'm gonna take you there through data. Another one was like, I'm gonna take you to your dream body through cardio. And there's no way in hell I'm buying from the cardio guy. Although it's the same dream outcome, it's a different road. And there are roads that appeal to more people than others. And we focus on the roads before the vehicle because that way we prevent the commodity problem. The other day I was looking at other offers on the Twitter space. Like the flagship fitness offer is lose 20 pounds in 12 weeks. And then I saw this other dude that said, no, check this out. I'm gonna help you lose 24 pounds in 12 weeks. And there was this other dude that said, no, hold on. I'm gonna help you lose 25 pounds in 12 weeks. And it's just got ridiculous at a point. Like, you know how some people promise, I'm gonna 5x your return investment, and if not, I'm gonna buy you a trip to Bali, right? And I'm also gonna name my firstborn son after you. Like, all these promises end up getting more and more ridiculous. So what positioning does is it allows you to not have the biggest outcome because you can only lose so many pounds in a week, but allows you to show people different roads so that they end up choosing your road over the others, even though it's gonna take them to the same destination. Okay, that's what positioning allows you to do. Not have the best offer and still convert. There's positioning A. Let's say Peyton, and then there's another coach, Ali, and then there's another one called Graham Hood. This person wants the same thing as everybody else. He just wants the fit body, right? Or just a healthy body. So Peyton is an engineer. We used to try the lose 20 pounds in 12 weeks angle, and it didn't really work. Then I asked him, okay, Peyton, how are you different from other coaches? What makes your method different? And he said, well, all I focus on is really data and numbers. Like that's all I do. I really like data and numbers. I'm like, okay, we're gonna position yourself as the data-based fitness coach because the only thing you need to get to your destination is better data. When it came to Ali, I asked her, well, what makes you different from other coaches? He mentioned a few things, like she is a psychologist and she doesn't believe in diets. And I asked her, like, what do you mean you don't do diets? She's like, no, I don't, because they're not necessary. I'm like, that's it. The fitness coach that takes you to your dream body and you don't need to diet. Right there, we see two different positionings, two different roads that take people to the same destination. These guys are all promising the same thing. Like, we all want to be lean, right? We all just want to be healthy, but it's the road they take them through that's different. Take me, for example. I promise the same thing a lot of people do, which is make money online, but I do it through my likes ain't cash Twitter method, right? So that way I differentiate myself from the growth gurus, from the digital writers, from whatever, right? Because I just say, hey, likes ain't cash. I promise people a different road than others. And if you're watching this, then you probably chose that road. It probably appealed to you more, even though I'm promising the same thing as my competition. I take you through a different path, all right? That's the whole role of positioning. This is more an art than a science, but the way I like to think about it is, if you want to reach the right answers, you need to ask the right questions. I'm going to show you two types of positioning. Like, one is not better than the other, but it's still helpful to know. The way you'll know which one is more helpful or which one you should do is the one that feels the most natural. Because, I mean, you're going to do this for years, right? You're going to stick to it for years. So you might as well find one that seems natural and you can talk about often. One way to position yourself is to compete against your target market. For example, my target market has this belief that's false, that if you just grow, you're just going to make money magic. So I go against it. I compete. I position myself as the adversary against those beliefs. And I say, no, likes and cash, right? So that is my positioning. It's compete positioning. And there's a second one, complete positioning with an L. So complete positioning assumes that there's this market solution or room of solutions, but there's missing pieces of the puzzle, right, that you're not tackling. So I'll give you an example. Irene, she's my community strategist at the Likes and Cash community. So how she really painted herself wasn't like, okay, JK, so you got Twitter here, and then you got your high ticket program here, but you're not getting much sales because you don't have a lead nurturing system in the middle. And that's where Irene came in. It's like, I'm going to complete what you're missing. She positions herself as a missing piece of the puzzle. This one positions yourself as going against a common belief in your market. Which questions do you ask yourself to know if whether it's better for you to go compete or complete positioning? The question you ask yourself for compete positioning is, what are some false beliefs in my market? Like, what false beliefs does my market have? And then you go against it. Like in Cash is one. That one came natural to me because like I'm a fighter. I'm always been a fighter, and I just like that dynamic. It feels natural and I can talk about it every day. Remember, there's no one better than the other. It's just which one comes the most natural to you. And the second one is from the puzzle that my target market is, what are the missing pieces, right? You figure out the missing pieces in your market. Like Irene, she's a missing piece, and that is position. That is how I like to think about it, because then Irene can promise community management, I can promise Twitter money, and it's probably the same thing as everybody else, but the positioning is different. The road is different. And when you go on a road trip, you don't just take into account the car you're going to get to or the destination. You also take into account how you're going to get there. You take into account if you're going to get there through a car, through a train, through a boat, through a plane. And that's why positioning matters, because it's just not the offer. It's also what surrounds the offer. It's also how you position yourself in the market. So I like to write, like I split the page in half and I see false beliefs and missing pieces and choose the one that feels the most natural. Really, that's how I do it. And the last aspect that I want to cover when it comes to market, it's to me the most important one. It's belief. Have you ever felt like there's some Twitter accounts that have some sort of power and aura and energy to them, and then there's you? Like I felt that like forever and I hated it. And I think I realized why. Because loser accounts promote themselves. Winning accounts promote a belief. Like if you look at people like a domino, right? People beliefs like dominoes. Like I don't want to buy of them because of the domino that it's too expensive, or I've seen that before, or I'll think about it, or oh, I can do it on my own. People have all these dominoes in their heads, like small dominoes. What loser accounts try to do is they try to topple every single one of those dominoes. And I got this from Russell Brunson, by the way, from this book right here, Expert Secrets. Super good. So they have all these small dominoes, right? But we don't realize that there is one big domino always, that if we drop this big domino, then this one's so massive and so heavy that all the other objections fall. Our brain is kind of lazy. Our brain works a lot in an if-then mechanism. For example, we want to find one big belief that allows us to believe everything that comes after. Like if we want to convince somebody that Jesus is the Savior, we first need to convince them that the Bible is true. If I want to convince you to buy from J.K. Molina, I first need to convince you that the licensing Cash method is true. If somebody wants them to buy your keto solution, first you need to convince them that keto is the fastest path to weight loss. That is the role of belief. If I wanted to be a loser account, I would just promote JK Molina. But I want to be a winner account, I promote belief. I promote likes in cash. Somebody once told me, JK, I feel like every single one of your tweets is about likes in cash. I'm like, yeah, that's the secret. Because I try to make you believe through repeating this thing over and over and over again. What does this look like? How do we create belief? And how do we find the one, I call it a lens, the one lens that we need to filter our content through so that people will buy from us? I'll prove to a person that my unique frameworks are the key to dream outcome. This is the money sentence. If you can come up with this and you get it right, then you use this sentence as a filter, as a lens that you pass your content through, and then you will make people believe. People sometimes tell me that, man, there's like this energy to your account. I can feel you. I can hear you when you tweet. And it's because every single tweet I send, it's through this sentence. I will prove to, and this is where you put your person. We already talked about the person, remember? Like, who are you talking to? I'll prove to 2021, JK, because that is my target market, that my unique likes in cash frameworks are the key to Twitter success. I filter everything I say on my social media through this framework, through this sentence of belief. belief. Russell calls this the big domino statement. And I kind of tweaked it a little bit to make it like tailored to me and Twitter, but this is it. There's two people in social media. Well, there's three. There's the people who just don't want to make money, but we are not one of those. On social media, there's pastors and there's messiahs. Pastors are people who repeat the Messiah's message, and they promote me, my church, what I feel like, my program. You don't want to be a pastor, but you do want to be a messiah, because a messiah is not just more successful than a pastor, but he doesn't look like a dick, because he promotes a higher message, a higher belief than himself. And that's why he can say it over and over and over and over again, and people don't get tired of it, because he doesn't promote himself like a pastor. He promotes a belief. People forget about pastor, but they'll never forget messiahs. The fifth part of the market picking is figuring out what is your big domino statement. What is the one thing you need to make people believe that will really nail it for them? That will really be like, yeah, like I believe. Which leads us to our second part. So now we're going to cover offer. I'm not going to go deep into creating an offer, but I'll show you why some offers are not better than others, but they'll still convert so much better. People just see the offer itself, but they don't see that there is a frame around the offer. For example, let's say you're going to go to a university and you're going to learn computer science. The MIT computer science lessons, a lot of them are free online. Like, just go on YouTube and look at them. That is the offer. But it's the framing of the offer that's like makes it so much more enticing. Like in a job proposition, if you have two candidates, one comes from MIT and the other one comes from a Guatemalan high school, you see those two applications. The offer is virtually the same. It's a computer science degree. Let's say you're a senior software engineer, but one has such a stronger frame than the other because it comes from MIT. Okay, so which one are you going to choose? Some of the offers that I've seen convert the best on Twitter are stupid simple. Like Peyton, he closed like 7 clients in a month. His offer, I'm going to help you get a lean body in 12 weeks. That's it. It's not crazy, because it's not only the offer that matters, it's the frame around the offer. It's not just the SEO that matters, it's that Keval, the SEO expert, is going to help you. It's not just Twitter growth that matters, it's that JK, the guy with Tweet Hunter, is going to help you. So I would argue the offer is not that important. It's the frame of it. And to really nail it down, sometimes people tell me, and maybe this is you watching, people tell me, I'm crafting this offer, but it's not getting any traction. I crafted the offer and I'm just not getting any bites. And I'm like, no shit. Because if you look at your offer, and this is going to be hideous, okay, but bear with me. So I'm going to try to draw a truck. So this is a truck. People believe, and if you don't know, the motor of the truck is right here. People believe that the offer is the motor. So if they just create a good offer, they'll have a motor strong enough. And I would argue that is not true. The offer is not the motor of your business. The offer are the wheels of your business. Just the offer by itself will not make you money. It'll allow you to make money because it'll give you wheels that are good enough, but it will not make the money. The motor is actually traffic, which is going to be the third component that we'll cover. We're not there yet. It's just the wheels. If you go and say, JK, I created an offer, I'm not making any money. My next question will be, okay, what's your motor like? Like, have you turned it on? Have you pitched 100 people on the DMs? The offer isn't the motor of it, it's the wheels of your business. Okay? Now here's where I like to use the Hormozy equation. And honestly, if you're gonna learn from anybody, offer creation, learn from Alex, right? $100 million offers. He talks about 4 things that are very, very, actually pretty simple. One is dream outcome. And I want to add a few things here, just so you know I'm not regurgitating Alex. Dream outcome only has to be one thing. I've seen some people sell, I help people automate their agencies and get their time back. Well, those are 2. When you try to convince people of 2 things, you think your conversions double when in reality they get split in half. It's easy to convince people 1 thing. Well, it's hard, actually. It's even harder to convince them of 2. So your dream outcome only has to be 1 thing. And I know it's hard. It's not that easy to simplify, but in reality, you as an entrepreneur, you're in the business of simplifying shit. So find a way. And if you have 2 things that you feel are equally important in your offer, find 1. Or you can promote your dream outcome as X, but you can't promote it as X and Y. A exception to this rule is when you say X without Y. Then it's interesting. I'm going to show you how to get SEO results without waiting 2 years. X without Y is valid. X and why is not. So that's your dream outcome. Now remember, offers that kill it on Twitter, it's grow your e-com brand with SEO. Get to 30K a month from Twitter. Like, it's not crazy. And don't worry about getting it perfectly, because a truck can still run on imperfect wheels. The thing that matters is really how strong the motor is if the wheels are good enough. 2 is perceived likelihood of achievement. And the way I like to rephrase this is how Alex says it in his book, Perceived Likelihood of Achievement. But I also like to think about this in another way, as in tackles your biggest objection. Because if it tackles people's biggest objection, then I don't know, they have to give you money. So for me, it's a lot of my competition is selling how to grow your Twitter, but their biggest objection is, dude, I already know how to grow my Twitter. I just want to monetize. So find a way to solve people's biggest objection through your offer. Like, for example, if you're starting out and maybe you're like, man, I don't have the confidence to promise these results. What you could do is you're not going to get paid until you accomplish the customer's dream outcome, because then that gives you the confidence that you have to make it work. And if no, you don't get paid. And it also is enticing to your prospect, because they look at it and say like, whoa, like, I'm not going to pay you until you do what you're going to say. Fuck yeah. Third, it's time delay. How can you make what they say, like, or the time it takes, usually in the industry, shorter? Like, don't get caught up in the details. It's better to promise a good enough offer that you can actually deliver than a perfect offer that you can't. And the third one is effort. How can you make it easier for them? Like, for example, we show you how to sell by chat because it is like literally the easiest way to sell a high-ticket service on Twitter, the fastest way. However, some people are like, I don't want to send DMs. And by the way, if you're not making good money and you don't know how to send DMs, learn how to sell through DMs, right? Only once you learn the skill do you outsource it. Some of our people already want it, already know how to do it. What we told them is, you know what? Just get your VA in, we'll train them for you. And to them, that was a huge value add, because you're like, wait.
You mean I don't have to send them anymore? Yeah, fuck it, I'm in.
That is one way. You reduce the effort. And in the end, I just want to make something very clear that a lot of people do not understand. Let's say this is where you want to get, and this is where you are, and you have what I call the forest of uncertainty. You don't know, like, there's this big forest and it looks scary, and you don't know if this business model works best or that business model works best, and you end up doing this. Tell me if you haven't done this, where you're like, man, like, I go through this route, but I don't know, I just wasn't getting any traction, and then you change the business model, and then you go through another one and you're not getting much traction, and you change the business model, and that's where you fuck up. Why? Because you don't know still that although there is one way that's fastest, there's also other ways to get to the same destination. And what you're doing is you're going through one, you're almost there, but you're like, nah, you know what? I still don't see the end. Fuck it, let's just go to another one. And then you stand here and then you go frustrated, and then you go to here and then you go to here, and you're about to get there, but you don't. And here's what I really want to nail in you when it comes to offer creation, because everybody's all stuck in the offer and nobody does the actual money-making skill, which is talking to more people and turning the truck on. Now, here's what I really want to leave with. Everything works. Everything will make you money. You just have to go and talk to people. Everything works except, and this is the only exception of the rule, when you don't. Everything works except when you don't. If you copied someone's offer that's already performing well, then your problem is an offer because the offer is already performing well. Maybe there's another issue. And yeah, correct. It's that you are not working. It's that you haven't turned it on. It's because you're stuck in, how do I create better and better wheels? And you don't know that you have good enough wheels. And all you need to do now is just turn the truck on. Now, from a market, we already know how to position ourselves. We know who we're targeting and we know how to put ourselves into that market. From the offer we created, we will have to end up with one sentence that articulately, very simply, very easy to understand, explains what we do. And also a 2-minute explanation. Sometimes, and you know, on the calls you'll have to do this, people will ask you,
well, how does it work?
And that's where you go into explanation role. A mistake is going and explaining it for 10 minutes, 2-minute tops. It has to fit into 2 minutes, because then you lose people's attention. You make them go into details. And if they go into small details, then it not only hurts you because they're not going to convert, but it hurts them because prospects have a superpower. And a prospect's superpower is coming up with objections on the fly. And if you just go ahead and tackle, remember how we talked about the domino? You're going to lose because they're playing an infinite game. You're playing a finite game. You only have enough time on the call. You only have so much time to call. Your 2-minute explanation is so that you will not only cover what you do, but you'll also tackle the big domino in their heads, because if they convince themselves that the Bible is true, then they will believe that Jesus is the Savior. If they convince themselves that the Likes and Cash method is the key to Twitter monetization, they will buy anything JK promotes. So your 2-minute explanation is designed to take down the big domino. So my 2-minute explanation is actually very simple. I already did it with you. The reason why you're not making money, bro, is because you believe the Twitter growth guide guru that if you just include traffic and then you launch an offer and then you choose market, you'll define. When in reality, you're here on this call for a reason. It's because you've been doing it the opposite way. These are small account monetization techniques that work. Now imagine you had a big account. How much money could you make? So what we'll do with you is we'll choose a market, then we'll find an offer, then we'll generate traffic in this program. That is step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4 really is all the implementation that we'll do with you. And what will turn this in from the right market and the right offer picking and the right traffic is you will make $30,000 a month in the end. Is there any questions in regards to this process? Let's just not get caught up in the details. Do you have any questions when it comes to the big picture? Usually they'll have questions and those are objections and we'll go over them. But this is my explanation. I just gave you my sales call explanation like a minute or two, right? It doesn't have to be long. The offer is not the motor of your business. The offer are the wheels of your business. Now, what is the motor? The motor is traffic. You're in a Twitter Masterclass. We've been recording for 52 minutes already. And only now do I get to tweeting because it's the last step. But if you don't know these, if you don't get these right, then you won't get it. Now let's talk about the motor of your business, the cash generator, the money making, the bag bringing of Twitter. Traffic. Now traffic, let me tell you a story. I'm not good at it, but I train Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, which is the family that has done the most for Jiu-Jitsu in history, has a symbol. It's a triangle. And it goes to show that a triangle in geometry or whatever is the shape that it can stand the most weight. It can take the most force. That's why when you see a bridge, like if you look below, it's just a bunch of triangles together. Why does this matter? When I was in high school, my math teacher gave us an assignment. It was a very simple assignment. It was, guys, we're going to create a bridge of toothpicks. And the way we do that is we just create one triangle. We glue 3 toothpicks together. The next thing you do is very simple. You just create another triangle, another, and another. And eventually you end up creating this bridge. And it shows you that just the smallest thing, it's toothpicks, could actually withstand a lot of weight. Like that's what we're going to do on presentation day. In my head, I was like, oh, easy money, right? I'll just create triangles and triangles. But guess what JK did? Like high school JK did. I got bored. And that's what we do. We set up a triangle and then we know all we need to do is do another triangle, do more lead gen, create an offer and tell more people. And then what do we do next day? We tell more people. And the next day we just tell more people. But at some point, what do? We do what JK did and we get bored. And we think that because we are not seeing the results, and this is the fallacy, because we're not seeing results, we need to change the plan. Not true. If we're not seeing results, we don't need to change the plan. We need to stick to the plan long enough because maybe we just haven't given it enough room for it to breathe, for it to work. So what did JK do? Let's create a fucking square, you know? It could look cool. You know what? Let's create a double triangle instead of actually sticking to the fucking plan and creating a triple triangle. And, you know, it was a simple task. And clearly I'm over this, right? Clearly I'm not mad at myself. What happened on presentation day, it's that everybody's bridge stood the weight except for mine. Mine fell. And that taught me that maybe we don't need to change the plan. Maybe all we need is just another triangle. Why am I telling you this story? Because I want to show you what are the triangles of Twitter. That whenever you're lost and whenever you feel like, man, I don't know what to do, the answer is very simple. You don't need to change the plan. You just need to create another triangle. And I call those checklists. Checklists are very simple, are just things you do once, monthly, weekly, and daily. And if you stick to this long enough, you will make money. These are the triangles. And at Tweets and Clients, where we show people how to land clients, when we ask them, what did you do? And they give us a testimonial, it's actually extremely fucking boring because every single testimonial, every single win looks the exact same. They just did the checklist. They didn't deviate from the plan, okay? Like if you want to lose weight, you already know how to lose weight. Just eat less and work out more. It's quite simple. If you want to get a girlfriend, it's very simple. Just dress well, like look presentable and go talk to girls. The plan isn't complex. We don't have a strategy problem. We already know the path. We have an execution problem. And that's why we lose because we can't stick to the triangles long enough. So what do we do once? Once, it's positioning. It doesn't mean that you're going to get it right first try. It took me 2.5 years to come up with likes and cash. And I didn't even come up with it. Like it came to me randomly. We already covered false beliefs and missing pieces, right? Second step that I do want is a lead magnet with insane amounts of value. I'm talking, it needs to hurt because in people's heads, people are like a bucket. And on that bucket of water, we drop trust. And one day you don't get to choose when, but one day the bucket is so full of trust that all you need to do is you just need to ask people for money and they'll give it to you. The lead magnet does exactly this. It builds trust fast because then if you give the sauce away for free, people will pay you to cook it for them. And you can quote me on that one. You include a lead magnet with everything plus a call to action. That's what you include. Like, hey, look at everything I just gave you. And by the way, do you want my help implementing this? Shoot me a DM. The lead magnet includes everything plus a call to action. Simple. You do this once, these 2 things. What do you do monthly? Monthly, I like to do offer revision. Like what changed about the offer? Do I need to change something? Was it good? People ask me like, why not weekly? Because how can you possibly know if your offer is good if you haven't pitched a ridiculous amount of people? Like you need to pitch people to know your offer actually works. So that's why I do it monthly. Other thing I like to do monthly are email hand raisers. So what's a hand raiser? You've seen this. It's on Twitter when somebody says, hey, if you are this kind of person and want to achieve this dream outcome, shoot me a DM. That's a hand raise. You make people raise their hand that they're interested in something. I do it with my email list. I send an email to everybody and I say, hey, are you somebody that has more than 2,000 followers and wants to get to $30,000 a month? Like just DM me 30K and we have a conversation and we get to the money. Now, weekly. Weekly is where we work more. 1 to 2 threads a week, 1 to 2 auto DMs. Auto DMs are like the most overpowered Twitter feature. It's basically, I don't know if you've seen this, but it's the, if you like, comment, or retweet this tweet, I'll send something to you and it automates a DM. I believe they should ban that because it's so broken. Like it works so well. I like to do 3 tweets a day. So I guess 21 tweets, right? Because it's weekly. And I'll get into what should you write in a second. I'll also like to do 2 emails. I send a daily email, but I like to do 2 emails plus because let's face it, I'm just a Twitter addict. Twitter, hand raiser, it's this, same thing, but you do it. And always, and this is the most important one, 7 competence proving tweets. Now, what is proving your competence? Proving your competence is the most powerful Twitter feature. At some point, we forgot that people buy from experts, and we want to prove that we're experts. I like to prove every day somehow that in my world, doesn't matter if it's an ocean, a lake, a river, a pond, or a puddle, in my little puddle, I'm king. And my monetizing audience is above 2,000 followers on Twitter on the wealth niche, I'm king. It's a very small place. It's a very, very small place, but nobody's better at it than me. In my little pond, how can I prove that I'm the best? So I'm going to show you that in a second, but let's finish with the checklist. And daily, and this is the motor. This is what's really going to like just nail it, like really, really like make you a lot of money. 1 hour of prospecting. You cannot do monthly, weekly, and still do 1 hour prospecting and still make a lot of money. 1 hour of prospecting, pipeline management, as in like you need to follow up with someone or send an invoice or whatever, and engaging. So remember how we talked about your Dream 100? Set up 30 minutes or an hour to engage with them. The way you engage with them is you don't engage to steal their followers, because everybody does it. It's honestly like exhausting when you go and see that everybody's rephrasing the top account's comment. But if you comment, and I learned this from Oliver Canton, if you comment to create a relationship for the bigger account and to turn them into powerful allies, then they'll feel that. That's how I like to engage with people. Not to steal their followers, but to turn the big account into a powerful ally. There's maybe a few things here that are unclear. The first one is, what should I talk about? Second one is, how do you prospect? How do you DM people? Maybe a third one is, where do I find people to DM? So I'm gonna answer those three questions in a row, just because I don't want there to be any excuses as to why you're not making money. First question, what do I talk about? The one thing you should talk about is, and this is the main one, like I used to think threads were king. I used to think auto DMs were king. Now I think this is king. So what is this? The other day I analyzed, like, what are the accounts that get the most inbound? Like, what do they talk about? I want to know. Me, I was talking maybe 10%. With 10% of my tweets, I was proving my competence. The guys that got the most inbound, they were proving their competence with like 95% of their tweets. Here's a testimonial, here's a case study, like all these things that prove that they were the man. So what should you talk about? It's the big domino. Remember how we talked about the big domino being the lens for your content, and your competence. What are you good at? Like, this is the key. And this will not get the most engagement. That's fine. It will not go viral. That's fine. But it will make you a shit ton of cash. Because on Twitter, there's kind of two network effects. There's the visible network effects that everybody looks at. People sharing your stuff, commenting, liking, retweeting. But there's also the invisible network effects. Nobody's talking about this, but those are the ones that make the most money. It's when people share you on their group chats and they talk about you and you're below the water, and people mention you on podcasts. They talk about it because you're good at what you do. Between buying from their friends and buying from their experts, people would much rather buy from an expert. So how do we prove our competence? And there's a few ways. One, really talk about lessons, but they have to be lessons that you have learned personally. I tried this. That is the difference between the guy saying 10 Google Chrome extensions that will 10x your life, and one guy saying, hey, this time I split tested this tactic and this one worked best. Here's what I did. Right? That's a lesson there. And I got this from Hormozy. There's an unspoken question in everybody's mind, which is, why should I listen to you? But if you prove people lessons from things that you have done, then that puts you above people, because high performers, they're not only like amazed or impressed by your ability or how much money you made. They're not, but they're impressed by humility. They're impressed by effort. Like, that's the currency they measure you by. So talk about what you have done. You make so much more money talking about what you're good at than what other people are good at. So lessons, achievements. Hey, I accomplished this. Cool. Well, it shows that you're obviously not an idiot. 3 is customer achievements. Like, what have your customers achieved? I almost never post achievements, but every fucking day I'll post a customer achievement because I want to know that my process works for a lot of people. 4, this one usually works very well. Case studies. Like, when you show somebody who is just like you, accomplished a result you want, and you write it in a way that tackles their objections. And that's how I write my case studies. I think about, okay, what would this person's objections usually be? And I tackle them through the case study in a narrative way. Like, I'm telling a story and it breaks their beliefs. Like, hey, this guy thought that trucking calories was a pain, but turns out you can do it in the toilet. And now he's fucking ripped. 5, testimonials. What was life before and what impact did it have? What's life after and what impact did it have? What made you almost not sign up? Because that gives you objection handling material. 3rd and 4th is, what would you tell to someone who's in the fence about joining? So that's what I like to ask. My testimonials, screenshots also work great. I'll post a screenshot of it to the client Slack Wins channel every day because I want you to know and prove that we're the best. If I say it, it doesn't mean shit. But if you say it, it means the world. The only way I can get you to say it and believe it, and it really tails down to what you should talk about. The one word, if I could summarize it in one word, it's proof. Prove that you're good at what you do. So that answers the question, what should I talk about? In your threads, in your auto DMs, it serves the same message. You shouldn't be thinking about how do I structure the thread or how do I set up the hook. You should be talking about how do I prove that I'm great. Second question is, how do you find people to DM? Because now we're proving people that we're good, and when we DM people, what they're gonna do is they're gonna check our profile. And we need to make sure that what they're finding is that we're an expert. And this is where the Dream 100 comes into play. Here's where you're going to need to be resourceful. That's what entrepreneurs are. They're resourceful. So go to your Dream 100 and check out their most recent tweets. Whereas it's people who follow them, people who like their stuff, comment their stuff, or retweet their stuff. And from those, you're going to see that you have many, I call it oceans, many oceans to pick from. There's the ocean in this tweet, and then that tweet, and that tweet. Because sometimes if we're not fishing enough, it's not that our rod isn't good, it's that we're in the wrong ocean. So look up another tweet, or maybe go to another one. And then what you do is you left click, open a new tab, left click, open a new tab. And if you do that for 30 minutes, what you'll find yourself with is a bunch of tabs of people who could be your customers. We know that our customer is there. We know the ocean they're sitting in. Now we just need to find them. So that's how you find them. You ocean hop through their likes, comments, retweets, and followers. Third one. Now, JK, I positioned myself. I crafted an offer. I found our Dream 100 and I'm proving what I do. Sick. Now I got people in the DMs. How do I make them book a damn call? Awesome question. And that's the third one. Sales by chat. This is one of the biggest money makers for us. We just go ahead and talk to people on the DMs and make them book calls. This is how you do it. Once you find them, how do you open up conversations? This starts from the Taki school of thought, which is conversions happen in conversations. Okay, so we're going to talk to people. I'm going to convert them there. When I didn't make that much money, I focused on conversions. Trying to make my landing page better, trying to improve my copy, trying to get these percentages better. When I really made a lot of money is when I focus on conversations. Now, what does a good salesman do? What a good salesman does is it qualifies fast. Like, you need to know if you're talking to a qualified prospect, because if not, then you're really wasting your time. A good prospect is worth 5x. Not only will they pay you, they'll refer you, they'll talk great about you, they'll stay for more months. It's worth a lot. A bad prospect is worth like 1/10 of your prospect because it takes you time, mental energy, and probably years of your life. So you need to qualify fast. Second is you build the trust fast. That's what a good salesman does. It makes you feel good. It makes you feel like they can trust you. We talk about what a good salesman does, but not that often we talk about what a good prospect is. You're going to work with them. You'll see their face a lot, so you might as well find the good ones. A good prospect is willing to talk. If there's something to be discussed, they're willing to do it. We're not asking for a lot here. A good prospect will also respect you. And a good prospect is not broke. So why am I talking about this? Because you'll see how these fall into place when I go through the sales by chat process. So number one, how do we start a conversation? First, we just appear. We can't just pitch them with our offer. I tried that, didn't work. But we need to just appear and sit. And the goal here is just to get a response. The goal here is just to make them go like, hey, what's up? Some ways I like to appear is, hey, thanks for the like. Or I could also say, hey, thanks for the comment. Or let's say you don't follow each other. It could be like, oh, I saw you like this tweet. I found this article that I thought was interesting. If you talk to people at the dinner table or a party, you know how to do this. Like, you just need a response back. That's it. That's all you want. And I also got this from Taki Moore, by the way, the 7-step sales by chat process. After you appear, you ask a this or that question. If you are selling low ticket items, then Tootsie Clients isn't for you. But if I'm not sure of what they're selling, I could just ask them, hey, are you selling a service or are you selling an info product? This allows me to qualify. Now, they're probably going to answer. Now you need to find a way to come up with a gap. So a gap is for them to recognize that they're not where they want to be. I may ask something like, oh, cool. Well, how many clients do you have? And are you taking any more? Here's where you might go like, hey, JK, but that's kind of a hard question. And I understand that. But remember, a good prospect is willing to talk. So if they're just not, like, you need to like pull them. I do believe in following up. But in my experience, if I have to follow up more than twice, it always ends up being a terrible prospect. Like something I don't want to work with. Again, that's why I like to qualify and build trust. And I build trust through what I call the AAA method. Texting is a lost art, guys. Let's just be honest. Like, you can't just go like, how many calls do you have? Oh, is this that? You need to like include a little bit of sauce. I call it lubricating the conversation. So the AAA allows you to lubricate the conversation, make it flow kind of like more easily. So A is acknowledge, the other A is add value, and the other A is ask. So how does this work? Hey John, thanks for the like. No worries, JK. I like your content. Awesome. Appreciate you saying that. By the way, do you sell an info product or a high-ticket program? Oh, I sell a high-ticket program. Oh, cool. I think I see you there. It's about fitness. By the way, are you taking any more clients right now? See how it goes? You acknowledge, then you add value, and then you ask. And that allows you to keep the conversation flowing more naturally. And it doesn't sound like dry. 4, what do you do after you paint the gap? Is you find the pain. There's two things in a prospect's mind. So there's the problem and then there's the pain. The problem is that you're not getting enough leads. The pain is you won't be able to meet payroll and you're gonna have to live with your parents again, you know? It's different. So what we do here is we find the pain. After they give us the gap, like, yeah, I want 5 more clients, go like, cool, like, what do you think you need the most right now? Obviously, they need 5 more clients, right? But by asking this question, it allows them to open up to you. After you find the pain, then you ask, would you like some help? Sure, what would that look like? Then you go for the CTA. Well, man, here's what we do. Basically, we have this cool pyramid of a market offers traffic, whatever, right? You explain it really succinctly. You make their pain the central thing on when you say the CTA. So for example, we help people who are like, don't have more than 3 months of payroll left to really get those sources going. We get the money first and then we figure out ways to keep that going. And the way that works is we set up a call with the team. That work for you? And then what I like to do is I like to give them urgency. Awesome. Well, here's the link. Would you mind booking now because I'm online and I can just prepare some stuff for you beforehand? That's really how I sell by chat. Now, it's actually very simple. Remember how we talked about you already know how to lose weight and get a girlfriend? Just eat less, work out more, and just talk to more women, right? Same thing here. You already know how to have a conversation. You already know how to give people what they want. You already know how to get people to book calls. Your problem isn't a strategy problem, it's an execution problem. You actually have to do this, and remember the checklist that we talked about, 1 hour a day of prospecting, because that's where the money is going to come from. If you think that just getting the big account is going to get you a shit ton of inbound, I got to 70,000 followers and I was getting 0 inbound. It was horrible. And I don't want you to go through that same pain. We've been talking for maybe like an hour now. This is a summary of what we talked about. You're not making money because you haven't picked the right market. You overcomplicate the offer and you're not creating enough oxygen and traffic for your business. So this is how it looks. And this is not the same as doing it as the growth guide gurus say, okay? Because this traffic offer market, that shit doesn't work. This one works. Market offer traffic. This is how you do it. If you wanted me to continue helping you and actually get you to $30,000 a month, I have a way to continue this conversation. I call this tweets and clients. We're 70 people inside now. What does it include? What we'll do is we'll find ways in which we'll craft positioning so that you won't get the, oh, it's too expensive price objection on the call and you'll actually close your prospect. We'll help you craft your offer together, one that you can charge more than $3,000 for, and we'll do it with you together. Right, for a year. What we'll do then is we'll also edit your content. Like if you're unsure of your writing skills, what we'll do is if you schedule it, we have editors that get paid $25,000 to ghostwrite. They'll edit your stuff for you. And then we have an engagement group. The average size of a Tweets and Clients member is 25,200 followers. You want access, you get access. After that, you get a leads list. I paid someone $2,000 to code a leads list that filters by country, by location, by DMs open, by niche, and gives me founders, executives, CEOs, influencers, e-com store owners, and coaches. So it filters all those stuff and we just give them to you so you can just DM them. One-on-ones. You want me to implement this thing for you? Or like with you together on a call one-on-one and we could just get it all sorted and finally get traction and get your offer selling? We'll do that for you. You get weekly calls with me and 3 other coaches. Content, sales, systems, operations, and audience coaches. Really like, if you have any issue, we give you speed. So now you don't have to wait months to get an answer. You don't have to go through millions of Google articles and just tweets to get an answer. We just tell them what works, right? And support you along the way, give you an answer right there. We'll give you a network, 6, 7, and 8-figure entrepreneurs as soon as you join. And the main one is clarity. When you get clarity, you'll know exactly what to do. You won't get stuck. You'll buy speed. You'll get access to me and all the other big accounts. We'll show you how to do these things because your problems aren't unique. Like we've covered them over and over and over again. We solve them every day. And in the end, this will all result to you getting a $30,000 a month Twitter audience. We'll make this happen. We can monetize audiences. That's what we do. And we do that best.